Hi everyone, it's Dan here from Flexxable, and today we're going to talk about compliance and the future of lead generation in financial services, not only here in the UK, but worldwide. Let's get stuck in. This is a really interesting subject that a lot of lead gens are probably freaking out about. And why they're doing that is because a lot of the ad networks and the financial regulation third parties in various countries are starting to impose their regulations inside of the ad networks. So let's say you're a lead gen, and I see plenty of people like this in my community who have built a really solid lead generation brand, like it could be a website that sells life insurance leads, okay? And they have their website, they have a lot of buyers, they generate leads through their brand and distribute the leads to multiple buyers. It's really great, very profitable business model and works well. The problem is that some of these ad networks are starting to impose the regulations inside their ad networks, okay? So they're talking to the, over here it's the FCA, and the FCA are trying to protect the consumer. So what they're doing is they want to make sure that any leads generated or ads shown are compliant with what they think is best practices for the consumer. Okay, so what you're seeing is this lead generation website, if they're wanting to run ads on Facebook, are going to need in future to have regulation. Okay, they're going to have an approved ad account that's ticked the box. And it has to be compliant. It has to have it has to be signed off by someone that's got that certification. Okay, and this is a big change, and it's significant for people that do run leads and sell leads to businesses. Okay, and we're lucky enough here in the UK to have a company that's called the Compliance Guys. And I'm going to introduce you to Nick in a sec, because I had a call with him yesterday that went for about 20 minutes, and there's some really valuable stuff, and it's going to give you solutions to all of this. All right, so there's some good news and some bad news. I mean, the good news is that there's a solution for you, and it's a relatively cheap solution. And if you're already generating leads and earning revenue, this is it's nothing, okay? The bad news is that everyone's going to have to do it, okay? Gone are the days where you're going to be able to advertise, build a brand in the mortgage industry and sell leads without being a little bit more compliant, okay? You can't do that without certification, all right? I'm using all the wrong terminology here. I'm not good at this type of stuff, but basically you're going to have to have an approved ad account, and you're going to have someone approve your ads as well. It's getting rid of all the scammers. And that's even better news as well, because before you're up against absolutely anyone who could throw up an ad and generate a life insurance or a mortgage lead. And now they're separating the wheat from the chaff. The dodgy guys, the people that are just a flash in the pan, are leaving. And now only the kind of legitimate lead gens are going to be left, the ones that really want to help grow businesses. And I hate to use the terminology blue ocean, but if you do get through this little tricky situation that's going on now, and you can keep ads running, what you're going to see is your cost per leads probably going to come down, and people are going to be removed from the market that were previously advertising. Facebook is struggling with revenue at the moment. There's probably a recession coming, which means CPMs are going to come down, and you're going to start generating cheaper leads. This is a really big opportunity for everyone, okay? I'm probably going to mess an explanation of all this kind of compliance stuff up if I continue to talk. So without further ado, I'm going to get my video editor to just kind of copy and paste the video that I did with Nick yesterday, which explains everything you need to know about compliance, how to stay running ads if you're a lead gen, what this looks like for the pay-per-lead industry, and how you can get help from him if you need it, all right? So without further ado, I'll hand over to me and Nick, and we'll go from there. Speak soon. Dan here again. I'm here with Nick from the Compliance Guys. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Good. Yeah, good. Great. Busy.
Good.
Compliance never gets quieter, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine, man. And it's and why you're so busy. It's the reason why we're kind of having this call today, right? So, by now, people watching this video have kind of come into my program, and they're keen to get going with pay per lead. They're sick of doing, retainer contracts and SEO and all of that stuff, and they just want to get into lead gen, right? And they're coming into the point now where some people have already got a niche and they're fine and they're off to the races, but other people are going to come in and they're going to be like, well, what niche do I choose, Dan? And I think it's an important time to be able to educate and have an expert like you come in and kind of give some feedback on not helping them pick a niche, but maybe give some kind of, not warning signs, but some ideas of what's going to be involved if you want to get in some niches, especially over here in the UK. And we're going to talk about what some of those niches are and what the repercussions are and what you're going to need if you do want to go into those niches. And then a little bit about what's happening elsewhere in the world. Because I was just chatting to you before this call about how the UK is like quite advanced when it comes to where we're at with compliance and stuff like that, and the rest of the world's going to follow, and a lot of other ad networks are going to follow. So people need to be aware of what's happening in the future as well. Is that cool?
Absolutely fine.
All right. So just like what are the niches? Like, from my understanding, there's a lot of niches that don't need kind of compliance, and they there's the home improvement niches and all of that. But then when you get into financial services, mortgages, home loans, car finance, and probably a lot of other niches that you'll be able to talk about here, they're going to, you're not going to be allowed to run ads on some of these ad networks without the kind of the registration, what's it called? The compliant, the registration,
the verification.
The verification, yeah.
It's worth giving a little bit of background, I think, really.
Sure.
So this is something even I've struggled to get my head around is a lot of financial services businesses, brokers, funders, lenders, those kind of things have to be authorized. I think everyone knows that. If you go to a bank, the bank are regulated. It would make sense usually for the people obtaining those leads for those customers to be authorized. But in a little quirk, you don't necessarily have to be authorized in each vertical. So, you do in claims management, you do in investments, stuff like that, you do in funeral plans. But in mortgages, life insurance, a couple of other areas, you don't actually have to be authorized to be a lead generator, which is a great first tick, isn't it? We can get into that, guys. You can start thinking about running those areas. However, the FCA still want to make sure that those customers are looked after and are compliant. So what's happened over the last couple of years is they've gone to the social media platforms, Google, Facebook specifically, the others are coming to the party, and said, first of all, let's stop scams. Now, that's a great thing for lead gens because we don't want to be competing with scammers, who are willing to pay money because they can rip customers off. But what they have done is Facebook and Google specifically so far have done quite a blanket approach and said, if you're not authorized by the FCA, you can't run ads on our platforms. And that's a bit of a problem because the FCA won't allow you to get authorized, or you're not going to need authorization. So that's what's happened. It's not terminal, but if anyone's looking to run ads in financial areas, and that could, it could be anything that vaguely looks financial, and sometimes that's even business to business where it wouldn't usually be regulated. You kind of need to have a chat with someone first and go, what are the barriers, what are the opportunities, and go in with your eyes open.
Yeah, okay, all right. So let's use an example. That's always the best way that I kind of try to get to understand stuff. Let's say you're coming into my program and you really want to kind of run life insurance leads in the UK. Yeah. And you want to come in, you want to build a brand. We've seen brands like tom.co.uk and plenty of other brands that my people in my community have built that are generating a ton of leads. I'm sure a few of them are working with you, right?
There's some really big businesses in that space.
Yeah, it's a huge business, right? It's a big, broad offer. So, what would your recommendations be, and what do you need in order to be able to run life insurance leads in the UK? What are the steps, and what would that look like? Like on Facebook, for example. Let's just start with Facebook. Yeah.
Well, again, Facebook have basically said you need to be authorized by the FCA in order to run ads. That's not technically true, but that's what they've said. So what you actually need is for an FCA authorized business to allow you allow your ads account access to the platform. So for instance, what we do is subject to us knowing everything is compliant, to doing that work to check. We give lead gens access to Facebook, so their ads accounts can go run ads, because what Facebook want, what the FCA want, is someone who ultimately can be under scrutiny to have something to lose, I guess. And the danger is that these scammers, as well as anyone unregulated, have nothing to lose by running, ads on, for instance, life insurance.
Okay, so let's say a lead gen what would the process look like if they said they wanted to build that brand and get started? Would they have to land a client first in order to be, obviously to generate the leads, they have to do it and send them to someone, right? But if they wanted to get an ad account set up and get ready and start kind of selling their service and their the idea of selling leads to a big life insurance client, are they able to do that before they actually land a client, or do they have to land a client and then leverage their license off the back of that? Or do you guys act as the middleman?
Yeah, we can act as the middleman. The thing is, I guess, before anyone's going to give you access to their risk, I guess, like let's say before we give that service, we're going to want to know what's being run on the platform. So we need to have sight of creatives, any ad text, landing pages, data consent, privacy policy, that kind of thing. But if it's a case of we want to have that ads account verified, we're not going to run anything until until that's all been checked. But let's get an ads account so we can show to our clients that we've can set up schedules and stuff. Yeah, we can do that, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So you can, like, if the agency has an ad account inside their business manager, they would then contact you and say, we've got this ad account, we need to link it to an FCA ad account, or like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so on Facebook, it's a little bit different from Google. Effectively, you'll get a warning flash up on your ads account saying you need to verify for financial services. That looks like what you're trying to do. And then effectively it asks you to enter an FCA number, so a firm reference number from the FCA, which obviously we hold, and your new start lead gen or someone who's not worked in financial services won't have. And you have to have a email address with the domain that matches the FCA's listing on their online register. So effectively what we do is we give our FCA number, we give an email address that the lead gen would enter. That then fires us an email at our end, and we give a code over for that to be signed off. Facebook does that almost instantly. It's really, really quick. And the only other slow part, I guess, is us doing the work for checking the ads and make sure we're happy with everything. We turn that around in 48 hours, sometimes a bit of backwards and forwards. There's always a bit of conjecture about, are you sure that's not compliant? Can we, can we do this? Can we do that? And what we actually pride ourselves on really is not just going, that's not compliant because this part of the regulation says so. We've done a lot of work with you and your guys, a lot of people in your program. So, we try to go back and go, well, could you reword it like this? How's that going to affect performance? Because this would be compliant. And I think people appreciate that, because, we're not just tick box compliance. We're actually helping you to, successfully run ads. But the other thing that's worth saying, Dan, is with something new called consumer duty coming in with the FCA, they want to make sure that the process of how you're obtaining data is within the spirit, as they call it. So it's worth getting involved a nice early stage and running past whether financial ads are for you or not really.
Okay, that's really interesting. So I guess you're kind of like, because I've dealt with the FCA before and kind of claims companies, and they usually, like, we had to run all of our ads via the claims company to make sure they were approved before we kind of set them live. And it was a big ball ache because, they're trying to protect their license. They don't understand lead gen, and they don't understand that, not allowing certain stuff is going to really struggle. It's going to push the cost per lead up drastically. I guess, where, if I'm right, the way you guys have kind of set yourself up is you're kind of the compliance guys for the lead gen. You're kind of on our side a little bit, if that makes sense. Even though you need to look after the consumer, you are totally kind of trying your best to work with us to be able to get the leads through at a good price and a good quality, right?
We're small business compliance, I guess it's fair to say, not necessarily small in, you know, turnover of people's businesses we use, but we tend to deal with businesses with maybe less than 10 or 20 staff. You know, many of them are just one person or two people. The brokers, the funders, they've got their compliance departments, yeah? They've got people who are employed to be risk averse. They're not the same people who want to buy leads profitably cost. And there's that internal conflict within their businesses. What we tend to find is if the lead seller can go, I'm already employing a compliance company to make sure that these leads are, you know, signed off. And we put together a document, say this is what we've checked, this is what we consider compliant at this time. That has some weight then when you go into it and gives them some trust, because, you know, the FCA rules state that the person buying the lead is responsible for its compliance. So I understand why these lead buyers are so risk averse, because their business on the line. But I think going, you know, with gun in hand to say I've already done that is quite powerful. Yeah,
so it's like an added string to the agency sales bow. They can say, look, we've got Nick at the compliance guys who reviews all of our stuff. We've got an approved account. Anything you buy from us is not going to get you in trouble. It's really going to help close the deal, I suspect. All right, cool. And as I mentioned earlier on in the call, that, you know, the UK is, funnily enough, and it's not normal in my opinion, like quite ahead of the curve with the way this is going worldwide. So you've got other countries that are going to start eventually adopting these type of methods, but you're also going to have other ad networks, I suspect, in the UK. Like, for example, TikTok right now. Where are they at? You know, got a lot of lead gens doing great stuff on TikTok. Are they as advanced as Facebook yet, or are they still kind of like catching up?
TikTok are kind of what I'd call making it up as they go along at the moment. So Google came first, Facebook came second, and the FCA are talking about TikTok coming to the party, and Snapchat are the other one they talk about. I'm not sure how much you do on Snapchat, and there's Twitter as well, but, you know, realistically, TikTok's the other big platform. We expect rules to be brought in by TikTok towards the end of the year. Probably over the next 3 or 4 months, you know, it will actually be in. And there's no reason for that to vary kind of from what Google and Facebook are doing. I think they will give this blanket approach of you need to be authorized, because I think what's worth saying on there is the algorithm is not clever enough to go, this is the type of ad you're running, this is where it fits within the FCA regulations, this definitely needs authorization or it doesn't. So all they do is go, it looks and feels like finance, you've got to be authorized. But they've had to put a way around it in, because otherwise they lose all their ad revenue. So there will be pretty much the same opportunity to access those platforms. When that comes, it'll be the same solution.
It's coming. Okay, cool. And I did ask you before this call if we could have a little skirt round for the other countries to see if there was anyone like the compliance guys in other countries, in the US and in Australia and New Zealand and Canada or whatever. But it appears that, you know, we couldn't find anything that was set up just yet. But I suspect we will start, you know, people as they're watching this will probably be able to tell me that there are people similar to you in other parts of the world. And we might have to do another catch up in a little while, just to kind of see if we can help our students moving forward. And I know your kind of pricing and all of that is probably subject to the industry and the volumes and the amount of ads that you need to review and all that type of stuff. But can you give us, because you are on our side, we're very lucky to have you. Can you give us an idea of, like, you know, a price range for what you do and what that looks like? I don't know if you've got stuff sorted yet.
Yeah, no, we've got a very transparent price structure. So we charge £100 an hour for checking the work, billed by the minute, no minimum. So if you're running, I don't know, 3 short videos, maybe up to 2 minutes long, 1 landing page, 1 privacy policy, you know, a few ad text sets. It's likely to take an hour and a half for us to sign off. So, 150 quid maybe. The advantage of that straight away is, you've got compliant adverts, you're going out. I would think you can make that back within maybe 10 leads selling at a higher price. So, it really is an advantage straight away. And then we charge £1,000 per platform for the access. That's open-ended. So until the FCA ever change anything or the platforms ever change anything, we've got guys who've been running that for nearly 12 months now since the Google, since Google brought it in first. And I've seen their financials and they've made 6-7 figures off that. So it really is good value. It's also worth saying that we don't charge that until you're successfully running ads. So we say to people, come back, tell us you're running ads successfully, then we'll send you a 30-day invoice. So it really is a case of go and fill your boots and then pay the bill.
Wow, that's cheap, man. So you're saying it's £1,000 to get that live account going and ready and authorized in the vertical, and then it's just an hourly rate to review the ads each time new ads come up.
Yeah, so then what we say is each month or more regularly, if you're changing them more regularly, just drop your updated elements over to us so we can just make sure they're up to speed. And that, again, sometimes it's 10-15 minutes work. It's very little ongoing cost. I mean, the only thing is, I've got to be honest, is I am considering bringing in a retainer, because sometimes people won't bring that back. And I think if we said to people, there's a small monthly amount minimum, but you'll get that back in time. So, you pre-buy 1 hour of check-in. I think that's going to mean people definitely come back and engage. And I see a benefit for both sides of that. I think people will then make sure they're staying compliant.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Because you've got to worry about your risk as well, right? Like you need to be very careful with that. Mate, that's a great service. And I really think it's for us lead gens, as I was saying, we're lucky to have you, because it means that we can still, as with our pay-per-lead brands, go into any vertical. I mean, there's some verticals you can't deal with, right? Because of your compliance and where you're compliant. Like, is there any verticals you can't deal with?
No, not for us. And there are some where you have to be, you've got to be directly authorized. So, you can't, for instance, run funeral ads, anymore. There are some areas where you have to be authorized, and, we can help with that. One of the main parts of our business is getting people authorized. But in any of these areas that, are unregulated, or the platforms kind of trap you. So I'll give you an example. There's people running bridging loans, so commercial bridging loans. It's an unregulated product because it's business to business, but the platform will probably still block you. Yeah. So, we'll check that it's compliant from a data consent point of view. Yeah. I've got to worry too much about the FCA, but ultimately you're still going to need access to the platform. Yes. Now, I think what's worth saying at this stage is, it's easy to get scared off from doing financial leads, but there's no getting away from it. It's one of the areas that you can make the most money from. Finance is always money where there's money, isn't there? And also, you're going to increasingly be working in an area with less lead gens. A lot of people won't want to do this. So if you're willing to engage in the compliance and do it properly, you're going to find that there's a big opportunity there. Oh yeah, man. That's a thing. I hate using the word blue ocean, but there's a lot of scammers and shady operators out there that are just going to drop out of the market. There's a recession coming. Facebook just posted they're losing advertising revenue. The CPMs are coming down, and over the next kind of year or two, I think you're going to start seeing some really great kind of results with people that stay in the markets and don't get scared off by this stuff and just want to do it properly. So I'm excited for the future rather than being scared. I think this is a good thing. And the other thing is, you mentioned briefly there that you can help clients come in and be fully authorized on their own. So let's say they've got a really big lead gen brand and they want to kind of not have to deal with you guys each month, and they want to do it all in house. What does that process look like? How much does it cost? And I guess it takes time as well, right? Yeah, the cost is completely variable depending on the FCA's application fee for that particular area and our costs. But you're not going to be, you're not going to be talking less than £5 really. Upwards. Sometimes it's 15, but it tends to be more near the 5 end. And that just depends on what area you're working in. And kind of the caveat from the FCA will be they will want someone at director level who's previously worked in financial services of some kind. So if that's not you and you are just, a marketing guy, you're probably going to want to bring someone into the team at senior level who's worked in that area, because the FCA will want you to know your onions. We can do the training. We've got good digital training to kind of get you up to speed on the things you need to know at management level. But sometimes there's no getting around that the FCA want the people running a financial services business to understand financial services.
Can you buy? I've seen people buy like small mortgage brokers or whatever, right? Like, and purchase the kind of FCA license. Is that an option as well?
It is, but you still need an approved person for the business, and the FCA still have to sign off that person. What's worth doing if you are looking at that route is buy the business with like someone in situ, and maybe get want someone to stay on at a senior level for a period of 6 to 12 months, and at least then you can demonstrate when you've been in that you can say that you've had a training and induction plan during that time to then take over. So put a succession plan in place.
Okay, so that person can exit the business after 6 months and you still have your license, or how do they check that that person's still a point of contact?
So effectively, you have to tell the FCA if there are any of those changes taking place. So there's something called a change in control. So before you acquire the business, you have to apply to the FCA to ask to change control, and they'll ask who is staying in the business, who's not staying in the business, check it against Companies House, stuff like that. But ultimately, you can be open at that stage and say, the idea is that this person stays in the business for 12 months. After that, this is our plan to take over and become a senior manager, as they call it. It's basically a approved person. And this is what we're going to do in order to get to a stage where you as the FCA would be happy. And again, we're happy to consult on that process and put in a plan to make sure that that all goes smoothly.
Amazing, man. Amazing. Oh, well, you definitely got a big gap in the market here. I can see you guys getting very busy in the next few years. So yeah, well done, man. And thanks for everything you've done. You've been around for a little while in my group, and I really appreciate it. How can people get in contact with you?
So you'll find us on Google, as usual, the Compliance Guys. It's not the American company who do plumbing or something. I don't know why they're called the Compliance Guys, but they're the .com. We're the .co.uk. You also find us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Also, obviously, join Dan's group. Ask Dan and his guys, and they'll put you in contact. Always happy to have a chat. We never charge for an upfront chat, so just hit us up. We'll have a chin wag and see what advice we can give you.
Legend, man. And I think I'm actually going to let you into my closed Facebook community as well. I don't think you're in there just yet, because there will be people that are going to come in and need a service like this in the States or whatever. And I'm sure you will be, out of anyone, keeping your ear to the ground as to people that can help people in different countries. And I'm sure there's lots of referrals and cool stuff that we can do as a community there too. So Nick, thanks for your time, man. It's been very valuable. I appreciate you, and catch you soon.
Catch up soon. Thanks, Dan.
All right, mate. Take care, buddy.
All right, everyone. I really hope you've enjoyed this video today with me and Nick about compliance. For some, it's a really boring topic, but it is a very important one. I hope I've helped you find a solution. If you did like this video, please hit that like button. If you've got any questions or comments, I'm sure Nick will be having a look at the comments in this video as well. He'll be able to help you. And lastly, if you do want to be the first to know when we create new content on Pay Per Lead and Lead Gen, then please subscribe to our channel. And finally, if you are someone that is in Lead Gen and maybe you're running ads on a retainer basis for clients, and you're sick of being a master of none and doing everything for everyone, then there is a better way of doing things. It's called Pay Per Lead. And I've got I'm going to link out to a Facebook post in our Pay Per Lead Ninjas group, which shows you exactly how to land clients fast using Facebook lead ads. You'll have to join the group, obviously, but it's kind of what I call a pay what you want after you watch training. So if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. You don't have to pay, okay? Just enjoy the content. But if you do pay something, there's some epic bonuses that I'm going to give away to you for the time being. So please do enjoy that. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.